Hey everybody, it's Seth from Coming Out Tarot. I'm just checking in because I've got a new blog post coming out tomorrow. So if you're already following me on other social media channels, headquartered to Wit, you'll get connected to that. But I wanted to check in because one of the things that I say in there, thanks Wit, one of the things that I say in there pretty like off the bat at the beginning is that just what you see in the title here, that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And I'm curious, what do you think about that? How do you feel about it? What does it make you think of when you think about your behavior or the behavior of others around you, but in particular yours? What does it make you think about when I say that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Where does it take you? Because when I think about it, I'm just making some tea to suck down here because my other tea got cold. When I think about it and what my past behavior has been and the possibility, hey conscious, that could affect my future behavior, it's like, for me, that's 100%. There's really no question there, because the experiences that I've had have informed my behavior, right? What's going on? So the experiences of, that you can add a qualifier to, like was a good experience or was a bad experience, that encourages you to repeat your behavior or to stop it. And if you have a good experience or if you have a bad experience and you choose to do one or the other, stop or repeat the behavior, then I do think that's the best indicator of future behavior, right? Because if you have what you might think of as a bad experience, let's say you invested some money and you lost some money, and then you invest money again. Now you've got a repeated behavior where you've had a poor experience, but you're going to do it again. Hey, Tom. So I would say that I believe Twain's statement, right? Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in. I would say that I believe it because we see investors do that all the time. They make educated guesses, the best choice they can make, and then they invest again, even if they lose money, because at some point they won. So it's all a gamble, right? So even that saying the best predictor of our future behavior is our past behavior is connected to the thought that everything's a gamble. Everything's a choice. Everything's an opportunity. But we tend to do the same thing over and over again until it beats us in the head and says, no, that's dumb. Stop doing that. That's why I was digging around on Twitter the other day and just kind of thinking through this concept of our past behavior predicts our future behavior. And so many people, hey Joycer, so many people would write that they managed to fuck up everything good in their life. Like literally, this is a thing. Like, people go on Twitter and say, how is it that I always manage to fuck up everything good in my life? And they say it more than once. Like there is this, like if you search fuck up everything good in my life, you'll find it all over the place. People are so distraught over screwing up their lives, and yet they don't do anything different about it. They just seem to accept the fact that they fuck up everything good in their life over and over and over again. And I don't understand why, if you have that predictor, if you have the predictor that you fuck up everything good in your life, why don't you figure out what it is that you are doing that causes you to fuck up everything good in your life and do something different about it, or change that habit, or identify what that thing is so that you've figured out what that past behavior is, or that toxic thing that is not good, that is not positive, that is causing you to fuck up everything good in your life, and then change it. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to shift the outcome by stopping the repetitive behavior that is causing the outcome that you don't want, that you know is coming, that you know you do? So why live in a place of wallowing in self-pity, especially if you have an opportunity to be with someone like a tarot reader where you can reach out and say, hey, tarot reader person, hey, Seth, I keep managing to fuck up everything good in my life. What is it that I'm doing that's making that happen? And then go through the experience and the exercise of having a tarot reading and saying, okay, well, what are the actions that you're taking that are causing you to fuck up everything good in your life? And then figure out what that bad behavior is. You're just happy to make it this far. Me too, Tom. I am also happy to have made it this far. In fact, I had an interesting dream last night. I had a dream that I was with Steve, my husband Steve, and we were in some hardware store. Happy belated. There's no ouch there. You leveled up further than the rest of us. I had a dream we were in this hardware store, and for some reason there were sink displays in all of the staircases, and there were no elevators. So you had to go up and down these staircases to get between floors. And the hardware store was kind of fancy, but it had different shops, kind of like a mall, which is weird. And in order to get up and down the stairs, you had to move around these huge, gigantic sink displays. And one of them was a big waterfall, and there was water going everywhere. Hey, that girl. There was water going everywhere, and it was leaking, and it was poorly set up, and it was dangerous. And I don't know, where is everyone? So we were wandering around this place, and we got separated, and I walked into this vampire store, which you could buy vampire things, and you can over at comingouttarot.com. I'm actually talking about the topic in the title, what the best predictor of your future behavior is your past behavior. If you're interested in having a reading about that, you can definitely schedule one with me. If I'm doing tarot readings, then it'll definitely say tarot readings in the title. So if you're looking for one, you can find one over there, or you can follow me and you can have opportunities to get tarot readings in the future. But I don't think she hung around because she was looking for something. She was looking for something free right away. Hey, Catnut. So anyway, we're in this mall hardware store thing, and it turns out there is a whole bunch of people who work at the organization I work at, but they're at a convention. So it's people from across the country and internationally, and they've all come together, and they're at this hardware store thing because it's across the street from a hotel, and they're just all hanging out having a drink because I guess there was some sort of bar on the first floor. Anyway, so Steve is still somewhere, and he's actually with one of our nephews, and he's running around this place, and I can tell they're trying to find me, but I don't know where they are, and I can't find them, and I run into all these coworkers that I kind of know but don't know, and we're talking, and I start talking to this one coworker in particular, and yeah, this is a dream. And I don't know him, but he knows me through, because I do a lot of work with people in geographic locations that are not around me. So I'm either on a video call or I'm on a conference call, and people know me. They just know who I am. So this guy's acting like he knows me and kind of getting a little too close and flirty and hitting on me and being weird, and I don't know where Steve is. And all of a sudden, this other coworker of mine who I used to work with her, she shows up in my dream, and she's like, "Where's Steve? What's going on?" And he shows up, and he just shows up. Suddenly, we found each other, and she's bragging about, and for some reason he has a goatee in my dream. He hasn't had one of those for years. Hey, Barbara. And he's talking, or she's talking about how great he looks with the goatee, and he's all slimmed down. For some reason in my dream he'd lost weight. She's fawning all over him. and saying how jealous she is and that we're together and blah, 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 blah. And then I woke up. It was weird. So why work was involved, why Steve was with our nephew, I don't know. Why these two people were in my dream, I don't know. I haven't sat down and analyzed it. It was weird. Anyway, I don't know why I share that with you, but it had nothing to do with future behavior or past behavior that I can think of. Flotsam and jetsam. Yeah, stuff floating around in there. Anyway, so, yeah, there's nothing in there about fucking up your life. I don't remember why I wanted to tell you that dream story. Anyway, so the people on Twitter keep posting this, why do I always manage to fuck up everything good in my life? Hey, Invetly. And it was just, I couldn't understand why people would want to complain about how they fuck up everything good without figuring out what that thing was that they fuck up. Could be. It was like you could buy capes and canes. It was all like cheesy movie vampire stuff. Does it, Kat? So it was interesting to me that I just kept seeing it. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought it fits in this self-improvement work that we're doing. The experience that they're having fits in the self-improvement work that we're doing this year. So, and you know what's interesting to me, Kat, is that you're trying. It's the other people who are fucking it up. It's not you, right? You gave this first guy that I knew about with you 4 opportunities to be in your life, and he screwed that up 4 times. You gave this other gentleman an opportunity to be in your life, and he chose to step back. So it had nothing to do with you. It had to do with them the entire time. So it's not like you fucked up anything good in your life. You've got great stuff going on in your life. You're trying new things. You're experiencing stuff. You've got your kids who are actually who seem to be pretty awesome, even if I'm sure they're trying on certain days. You've got a lot of good going on. Your mom's hanging out. So the more I thought about them saying, why do I manage to fuck up everything good in my life? I thought, why shouldn't we be experiencing, or why shouldn't we be reviewing what it means when you feel that way? So if you feel that way, you must have done something. This is a mix of green tea and rose hips. So it's a little bit of green jasmine and rose hips. Yeah. Maybe your daughter would like to go. Maybe it'd be some mom-daughter bonding time. So what's interesting is then, she's too talkative. What's interesting then is that it's not that you're doing anything. You didn't fuck up anything good in your life. You found 2 people who are making choices about their lives, just like you're making choices about yours. And now you can act accordingly. But you didn't actually fuck it up. So if there was something, and based on our conversation, I know that, but if there was somebody who came to me and said, I seem to manage to fuck up everything good in my life, then I'd want to know what it is that they were doing. What were the actions they're taking? And if they don't know, that's a great opportunity for a tarot reading to say, here's some of the action you've been taking that could be fucking up your life. See, and that's just the world saying it ain't time. It ain't time. And that's okay. It ain't time. Or they're not right. One of the two. It ain't time or they're not right. Yeah, old habits and triggers. Good morning. Hey, Golden Arrow. I'm in Chicago. But if you're talking to Kat, she's in Canada. It's all right. It's pretty top of mind, Kat. I'm not surprised. That might be... oh, you're in Toronto? She's in... listen to me answering for her. She's over in Saskatchewan. I only remember that because that's where my grandma's from, or was from. Yeah, those triggers are fascinating. So I think that's an interesting opportunity for a tarot reading, is to say, what are those triggers? Especially, she was asking where you were from. And the only reason I remember is because my grandmother was from Saskatchewan. Barbara's over in Toronto. What was I going? Oh yeah, the trigger thing. So it's a great opportunity to review, especially if you don't know, or if you're not aware, or if you're not sure what those are. Then taking that opportunity to say, you know, I want to have a tarot reading and go, based on this experience that I had, blah 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 blah, share of experience. I'm noticing that I'm feeling like I'm fucking up my life. What is it that I should do? Hang on. What is it that I should do differently? What do I need to change? Or what are those triggers that I'm experiencing that I should be more aware of? What are the actions I'm taking that are throwing me off my game? Hey, Antar. And if it's a situation like Kat where it's other people, then it's just not you that's fucking up your life. The other people are making their own choices. You need to think about your actions. And it could be interesting for you to do that even, because it's not, to me, based on what you've told me, or the fears, yeah, which is its own kind of, I want to say, thing that might be fucking up your life, right? It's its own kind of thing to say, what are the actions when I'm not quite sure what the problem is for what I'm trying to achieve. So if Kat's trying to find this relationship right now and it's just not working out, what are those challenges, or what are those actions that you could take in order to find that relationship? Or what are the qualities you should be looking for in the ideal partner for you, so that you can identify what that person might be? Or how might you better present yourself in order to attract the partner that is best for you? If you put yourself in that active space of what are my triggers, what are my actions, how am I presenting myself, what am I looking for, then you give yourself the opportunity to be really clear about where you'd like to be and how you'd like to get there, versus why does this always happen to me? And the people that sit in the how do I manage to fuck up everything good in my life space tend to not get into that actionable state. And I think tarot can help get you there. And I think that's part of what you're supposed to be learning right now, and get back into it. We talked about that. Get back into it, because it's part of you, and it's part of your personal and self and sexual expression. It's part of it is who you are. If you had to say I am ... would you say I am the kink community? Would you say I am single? Would you say I am married? What is it that you would want to have in existence? And what is it? Who are you? And I'm not just saying that just for Kat. It's a larger question. Who are you? And if you're able to identify who you are, and you don't have to be the same forever. Our lives change. You can be I am 1 month and I am whatever another month. Or within 3 years, your I am can change. It doesn't have to stay the same. We grow, we change, we shift. We are people that are not always the same, and that's okay. It's like a double life. And I think that's not unusual in the kink community. But it can inform and support and be drawn into your time away from that community. So you can have all of the same characteristics that you would employ in that community outside of it without all of the bells and whistles, so to speak. Because I think, here's the thing. If you're going to be in that space of knowing that the past informs the present and what our habits are, if you're going to be in that space of I just constantly fuck up my own life, I manage to fuck it up again. If you're going to be in that space, then you're definitely at a point of change, of at least being on the verge of change. Hey, Alan. And change can only come about when you decide to keep doing or stop doing something. So you're either going to choose to change or by doing something new, or you're going to choose not to change by not doing anything about it, in which case you'll continue to fuck up your life. But if you choose to change and you're not quite sure where to go and you're like, yeah, I'm ready, I want this change to happen, I'm there, then tarot is a great way to explore what that change could be. It's a great way to say, if I'm ready to change, your body's gone through a lot of shifts. I mean, and that's a big change, because you decided at one point, I'm going to stop doing these things. I'm going to stop doing the hard drugs. I'm going to stop doing stop smoking. And your life changed, and it's different. I'm going to choose to be a part of the kink community again. Your life changes. It's different. Hey, Lox. So when you decide to stop doing or keep doing or get back into doing something, your life changes. And that's when you go from that point of habits the best predictor and surpass the experience of why do I always manage to fuck up my life, and get to the point of change where you can say, I am this person. I am this person who is not this person. I mean, this person here who is not this person here. And in between there is the opportunity for tarot to say something like, here's some of the actions you're taking that you might want to avoid, or here's what you're putting out into the world but you're keeping to yourself and you may need to consider switching those two things, or here's what you're walking towards and here's what you're walking away from, so that you can identify either where you are today or what those patterns are that you need to shift so that you can say, I am something different tomorrow. And that's pretty, something keeps poking me and I'm trying to figure out what it is, so I keep shifting. Could be. And sometimes outgoing is really hard to achieve. You might want to get more specific. I am available for parties, or I am available for a phone call, right? Or I am someone who answers phone calls, or I am someone who goes to parties. I am someone who accepts party invitations. The more, especially if you're an introvert, the more detailed and specific you could say about those extrovert type of things, it'll be easier to get there, because it may not, the parties may be too much for some introverts. They may just be entirely too much. But you could also, me too, but what's weird is I am not extroverted at them. It's like, I love to be around people, but I need people to come talk to me. It's really hard for me to come talk to other people. that weird? It feels weird, right? Like I'm totally comfortable being on a camera in front of a bunch of people I don't know. Like, I mean, I kind of know several of you. We've gotten to know each other. But there's a lot of people who come in I don't know, and don't know me, and I'm perfectly fine to be in front of a camera. Some people, it scares the crap out of. Yeah. Being on a camera is a power position. That's an interesting way to look at it. It doesn't feel like that to me. It feels like to me a vulnerable position, because one, you can see me and I can't see you, and two, I'm putting an idea out into the universe that you're responding to, and occasionally you might share an idea with me, but it tends to be, at least it feels that it tends to be for me that I've put myself out there in a way that is very exposed. Never thought about that before, or at least I never verbalized that before. So that's what it feels like for me to get on Scope. It's a very exposing thing, to be here and in front of you and have you see me and have you hear what I think. Because there's always the opportunity for someone to be like, you're a fucking moron. Thanks, Barbara. Let me make sure I'm at least following. Make sure I'm following you. Hey, Payne. I try and find a way to be, every time you have a long scope, you can't rewatch it. How come? Thanks, Hera. That's weird. I like to feel... I'm glad it feels that way. I hope to be a down-to-earth type of person. While not talking to you from a toilet. You know, we don't need that kind of relationship. Where I'm like scoping from a toilet. Does anybody do that? I hope not. That's going to be what's next. You know, like you're checking your email while you're on the toilet. Next thing you know, people are going to be like, hi, I just wanted to check in with everybody. Sorry I'm on the toilet. I won't be here for very long. Sensible and thoughtful. That's cool. Thank you. I'm trying to work through sharing thoughts and ideas, because it's something I don't do. It's something I just kind of... Now, I might share an opinion, but having a thought or an idea, those are things that are hard for me to share with other people, and so I'm trying to get better at that. So that's good to hear. Thank you. Anyway, I do believe that, based on our topic about past habits, thank you. Hey, Todd. Haven't seen you in a while. Based on our conversation around past habits and how tarot may be able to help you get there. Yeah, it's my Canadian roots. It's true. It's that little bit of Canadian I got in me. What kind of tarot spreads help? Actually, I think there's so many. I could go on about that for a long time. But here's a couple you could think about. Now, it's right. I can't say about. I almost had about figured out the other day. About. I can't do about, but progress, the progress, we've got progress. It's hard for me to say progress. It's not hard to say progress, but I have to work at it, think about it instead of progress. About, boot. Anyway, spreads. There's a lot of different spreads. The biggest thing to think about, yes, I can't. I figured out what the word was to know how to do about the right way, and I can't think about it now. Anyway, spreads. The biggest thing to think about if you're trying to identify what those past behaviors are, or what the actions might be that you might want to what the actions you might want to take in order to shift and change what those behaviors are. There's a couple different ways to think about it, and you wouldn't find this in my shop because the shop's got a relationship reading, it's got a professional reading, something related to work. Sorry, there's another one, and it's got the transformational reading, which actually might help here. Transformational reading, hey Anthony, is a way that you can think about, I want to be from point A to point B, so I'd like to better understand when I say I am X, whatever that is, how can I get from where I am today to there? What are the actions I can take? Who's going to help me get there, and what's the path look like that I've been on? So transformational reading can get you there because that's a really detailed reading. There's another thing I've got in the shop that says there's a spread for that, and that's one where I'm just not. If you're not quite sure if one of those other things fit with you, the spread for that can help you figure it out. So I can do a spread on the fly, or I can use some of the other ones that I've just got milling around in here. And there's one I use for habits where we look at what's the habit you have today and what's the shadow of the habit. So what does the habit look like? What is it that's causing this habit to be a part of who you are? And what's the shadow of that? So what don't you know about that habit? What are you ignoring about that habit? On YouTube, I've got some spreads that you can go check out too and talk to me more about. There's one specifically related to habits. Shadow work is always really interesting, and going, what are the things you don't know, or what aren't you aware of, or what are you ignoring? There's also another one I use called the body spread, which I like a lot because the body spread talks about it's kind of like a chakra a little bit. It's what are you thinking, what are you saying, what are you feeling, what do you want, what are you holding on to, what are you giving out, what are you walking away from, hey paraphobic, what are you walking towards. So it's how you're letting a habit or an experience or the outcome you're looking for, how you take that into your body and how it's expressing itself through all of these particular pieces. Woohoo! Thanks for dropping in, Kat. I'm sure that's an experience, getting them ready to go. So that body spread is actually kind of cool too. Some of them I learned from, some of them I learned from either books that I picked up, or some of them I created on my own. Some of them I've learned from, or some of them I made based on lists that people had created, where they said, here are the things you need to do in order to achieve something. And I went, oh, that'd be a great layout. I don't remember where I learned the body one, but where it ended up for me is one that I like to work with. So there was a lot of body type or chakra type spreads that existed, and I went, oh, these are the things that I like about it, and it became something that I use. So the body spread I like to use, especially if people are internalizing something. They're either trying to, or they have been internalizing something. The body spread is great for like where's your head, but what are you saying? Because sometimes they're not the same thing. What are you feeling? Because sometimes what you're thinking and what you're saying doesn't match up with what you feel. And what do you want? Because what you want may not always be what you feel, what you think, or what you say. Or if those things are all in alignment, that's a pretty powerful place to be. But if you're in that space, like let's say all those things line up, what you think, what you say, what you feel, and what you want. If all those things line up, but what you're giving out to the world or what you're putting out into the world isn't lined up, then you're out of balance. Like your energy's not going the right way. And if you're holding on to something that's keeping you from getting there, well, that may be the problem. If you can release that, you may be able to put out what you need to put out. And then if you're not taking any action, like if you're not walking towards, this is where the feet part come in, if you're not moving towards what you want, well, that's 90% of your issue. And if you're not walking away from what the problem is, then you're holding on to some more. So, and then you can take a lot of other stuff out of that reading too, how things are connected, and history, and future state, and current state, and so that body spread is actually really cool, especially when you're trying to think about this space of what are the habits that you're holding on to. Body spread is awesome. The transformation reading is also really cool because it shows you kind of the spiritual journey that you're on or the life journey that you're on. What have you been experiencing? What are you experiencing today? And what is the change you need to put in place in order to say, I am whatever this thing is that you want to be. So that you get past that, how do I manage to fuck up my life? But it also has this little incubus of where are you today? Where have you been? What do you believe is going on? And what could the outcome look like? So that you get a concept of what the change might be. And then there's this underlying structure of you surrounded by a helper and a teacher that can help you achieve that transformation that you're looking for. So if you want to get past how do I manage to fuck up my life and get rid of those toxic behaviors, you need support. You can't do that on your own. Nobody can. So it helps identify, this transformation reading helps identify a helper and a teacher so that you know who your support system is, who's going to help you get there, and who's going to teach you the things you need to know in order to affect that change. So that transformation reading can be pretty powerful. That's why it takes longer than an hour, because there's a lot to go through. Because then, once you get through all of that stuff, then there's like the history stuff that's going on, there's the current stuff that's going on, there's the future state of what could be coming, there's a connection through all the cards, there's a quintessence, there's so much information in that reading. It's intense. And it's the kind of reading where you gotta take notes. You got to. If you don't take notes, you're gonna forget something in 10 minutes. And there's so much detail in there. That's part of the reason that I made this thing that you can get over on my website. It's at the bottom. There's a little link for it. It's called the follow-up, reading follow-up, and it's a document you can download, and it's something you want to have with you during the reading. So you can look at it ahead of time because it'll give you some things to think about, and then during the reading you want to have it at hand with a pen. So you can take some notes, because you'll hear me say things that are action items. You'll hear me say names sometimes. I mean, you won't hear me say names. You hear me say qualities, things about people, and you go, oh, it's this person. You can write down that name. Or if you don't know who it is right away, you can write down all those qualities, and at some point it's going to jog for you who that is. There will be opportunities in that follow-up to also, for those action items, for you to think through, okay, who actually needs to do this? Is it me or is it someone else? And when am I going to do it? So it takes you into a place of action so that you're activated in order to do something, which then creates some momentum. So you're in that place of change, and then you're going to see something, you're going to see some achievement happen. You're going to see the change take place. And that's what I'm about is, if you're going to get a tarot reading with me, especially in this place of what's my toxic past, or what are my bad behaviors, or no, it doesn't actually, because you don't need a pen. It's a PDF. So if you've got a computer that can open up a PDF and edit a PDF, or at least put text in a PDF, you can modify the PDF. So you don't need a printer, you don't need a pen, but it's kind of handy. I mean, you can just type along. Or have a notepad with you with the outline in front of you so you know what's going on. You don't have to print it. There are ways. There are ways. It's kind of like that quote I said about you're going to find, if you want to create change, it's only going to happen if you stop or start doing something. If you don't want to create the change, you're going to find an opportunity to say it's not possible, like I don't have a printer. And I was going to say I don't mean to call you out, but I am, because I do things like that too. I'll say, well, I don't have a printer, so I can't do that. No, there's other ways. It's a PDF. I can actually type on it. Or I can have it in front of me and have a notepad in front of me and just follow along the form and take notes. Section A, here's my notes. Section B, here's my notes. So there are ways. All right, see you later, Golden. So I'm gonna wrap this up too. If there are opportunities for you to think through your toxic past, check out this post that's coming out on Monday. It'll be out about, I think it's 7 o'clock in the morning Central. It's when it posts. And if you're following me on my blog, it'll come into your inbox. But if you're not following the blog, just go over and check it out, comingouttarot.com/blog, so you get a chance to see some more stuff that I've got in there about what it means to consider those things that are your toxic past. You'll also see what that tarot reading for transformation looks like. I've got a little infographic in there so you can see what it looks like and give you an idea of how it might be able to help you illness related to this toxic past stuff. Because tarot can identify the opportunities that exist today so that you can create that I am space tomorrow. Everybody, I hope you have a great weekend if I don't see you, and go check it out on Monday.